What do you think people can do to keep this going?
Well, I have my own ideas in my head rolling around for after mid-February of things that I want to do and I think I need to do to push the movement forward. One thing, if you're talking about Native people, that we have to stop right now is the mascot thing. I've been a football fan since I was in diapers, and as growing up, I had no idea, and I'm not going to use the word Washington, the R word. I had no idea what that word meant. I had no idea how much that stung. To me, honestly, it's as bad as the N word, because the word was created when white people were scalping Native people. When he's actually cutting parts of their heads off. So that's about as violent and disgusting and horrid as you can think of. And that's the birth of the word, So it should never be said. It shouldn't be on a logo with a Native man. I mean, what in the heck is that? Every time I look at it, I might like, come on. And it's not just, you got the Cleveland Indians, plenty of high schools, middle schools with Native mascots, Florida State Seminoles, just go on, and that has to stop. You can't have. It's like having teams like the Kansas City Jews or the Columbus Chinese or Chinamen or something. It's like
let me ask you what I asked Tara Houska. Why do you think it is that the same people that would be appalled by a minstrel blackface show are kind of and care about a red face kind of those mascots? Or
it's a good question. It's a big part of it is they're dehumanized, and we have bought into that. Perfect example is Pocahontas, the movie, the Disney movie. Mel Gibson was in it. And growing up, you think about that. Oh, it should have been a red flag. Yeah. Growing up, I saw the movie just like every other kid. I loved the movie. It's like, oh yeah, the white people, Native people. But when you learn the real story of what happened to Pocahontas, it is literally a 180 from the movie. She was 9 years old. She was raped. She was kidnapped. She died because of their thievery and kidnapping. And and you're going to tell me this movie is universally loved. It is a beloved movie in the United States, and it romanticizes pedophilia, rape, murder. What the natives went through when their land was being taken and the Trail of Tears and everything. You're romanticizing that. It's one thing if you're being honest about it, and 12 Years a Slave. I don't know one movie of late, and I include The Revenant because I've asked Native people about it. A lot of them dehumanizing us, fetishizing us, putting us in the background like we don't matter. I don't know one Native film of late that actually paints them as human beings. Like, okay, they're people, and white people are people, and we're all people. If someone wants to point one out, I'm all ears. But the point being, that's how they're treated. When you talk about a group for so long and it gets in people's heads, and you read coloring books as kids and movies like Pocahontas, you start to believe that. You start to believe that, well, I guess they're just kind of like magical fairies who, like you said, live in teepees and the powwows and all this. We're just going to use their words and not knowing what it means. And we treat them as mythical creatures, not human beings. So when you do that, they just take whatever team you want to, the Charlotte Hornets or the Washington Wizards or something. Oh, Wizard, okay, it's not a real person, or Hornet's an animal, so who cares? But Native people they're people. They're a race of people who exist in this world like everybody else. And then, but we don't think that way. We just think of them as like fairies and pixies and mythical creatures, which I mean, it's the way it's the way it is. It's sickening, but it's that dehumanization. It's that native erasure that is so prevalent. I mean, it is astounding, and I get all the time. I get trolls every day on my Twitter, and a lot of them, when I talk about native issues, they're like, "Oh, come on, it wasn't genocide. They all died from accidental disease, and they could leave the reservation whenever they want," and all this ridiculous stuff. But that is that type of institutional racism that has been taught to us since 1776. Well, even before that, it was America. America was America in 1776, but basically since Columbus in 1492. But yeah, that would be my answer. Just we don't treat them as human beings.
That's horrible. Well, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to give you the last word to say whatever you think, anything we might have missed or not want to say, or just re-amplify the march again.
All right. Thank you. One thing I'd like to say is if you do believe in equality and you're not of the oppressed race you're talking about, like me as an example, when I talk about Native people, I always try to make sure the facts that whatever I'm saying is on point, and I'm staying in my own lane. I'm not stepping on any toes. I don't know anything about, powwow or, a rain dance or anything. I didn't grow up with that. That's not my culture. I'm not going to try to emulate that or do like the whole headdress thing during Halloween. Don't do that. Don't paint your face black to be, Bill Cosby or whatever the hell Don't dress up. What was it? Heidi Klum dressed up as a Hindi deity. If you don't know about it and it's not your culture, just stay away. I mean, and that's been a part of this culture forever. We steal, and not just white people. We'll steal from other people's cultures and make it our own. It's one thing when it's if you're talking about music or something we can all enjoy. It's another thing is if it's an integral part of that race's or people's culture. And then another thing is just accept that there's still a lot of racism. We have a lot of trash to clean up. Okay, we need to stop saying, "Oh, it's 2016, so how could this stuff exist anymore?" Well, look, I have news for you. It may be 2016, 1956, 1976, 2006. This country is still very racist, and taking myself out of the equation as a black person, sexist, homophobic, transphobic. We have a lot of work to do. We don't treat other people that aren't our own with enough respect. And one thing I always try to figure out in my head, like when white people came over to Africa, what tipped them off to go, we got to enslave these people? I mean, a lot of it's fear. I mean, when you don't understand something, and I had my own problems with this growing up, talking about gay people or queer people or trans people, if you don't understand something, a sad part of the human condition sometimes is, "Oh, I'm afraid, so I don't like that." Well, if you're talking about another human being and they're not harming anybody, especially if they're not doing anything to you, let them be who they are, especially if they're born that way. If they're a trans person, that's who they are. Sorry, you can look that up in a medical book. And if they're black, okay, they're black. If you learn about their history, learn about our current reality. And especially, and since we're mainly talking about race and the We Want Freedom March, Native people, I beg anybody watching, learn about the history, and I'm not talking about your history textbooks from high school or middle school. Don't throw those out. Learn about their history, the real history, learn about the real current reality, because it's the opposite of what you think, and it will completely change your worldview and your mindset. And some of it's obviously tough to take, but this can be a very tough world. But it's for the better. The more you know, the more open you are to the rest of the world, good or bad.